Welcome to It's All Fine and Danjee, where we talk about community, health, culture, and all of the big and little things that make life good. Here are your hosts, Dan and Angie.
Hi guys, and welcome to episode number 102 of the It's All Fine and Danjee podcast. Welcome, and thank you so much for joining us. We're super excited because we're out of the house. We're out of the studio.
Finally.
Yes. And we are at a really cool local business. I am super excited to actually get in here and experience it for myself.
Me too.
And, you know, we always love when a new business opens locally. So we're super excited that this kind of mixes creativity in with it, the art a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we are at the Artisan Loft here in Apopka, and we're sitting with Betsy Owens, the owner of the Artisan Loft. I'm going to say it a few times because I wanted to say Artisan Loft, but that wasn't correct.
We're not that fancy.
Yes, this is not Artisan. So thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, thank you.
Welcome, and thanks for having me.
Yes, and for having us to the studio. This is the coolest little thing. I'm so excited for everybody to see the YouTube video so that they can check it out themselves.
Yeah, this is one of those things where we talk about the things that are right in your backyard, and I had no idea that you were here. So we're going to talk about how you got started and everything else, but this is really, really cool, and thank you for inviting us out.
Oh, so fun. Thank you.
And thank you we have a little glass of wine to enjoy while we are chatting, so thank you for that as well.
We do sip and paint, so we're doing sip and talks.
Oh, yes.
Oh, sip and paints are so fun. We're going to talk about that too. I love that. So we're going to come back here and do one of those for sure.
Yes, we are super excited about that. So in true Fine and Danjee fashion, we always like to get to know our guest a little bit. So we'd love if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself, personal, whatever you'd like to share, just to let our audience know a little bit about you.
Well, thanks. I have been in Apopka for about 25 years.
All right.
Married. You met my husband, Andy, a little while ago.
Yes.
We've been married for 25 years. And
congrats.
In Apopka for 25 years.
We got married in our house. The house we still live in, we got married in.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and then we went on our first date 30 years ago. So we just celebrated that anniversary. So that was fun.
Oh, how great is that? So you've seen a lot of the changes in Apopka that I've seen too. It's hard. I feel like an old man when I tell my kids, this road used to be a dirt road. And all.
Yeah, like Sandpiper.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or even Welch when I was a kid
Yeah.
So how exciting. So you are definitely a native by now.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've been in Orlando since 1986 and came here. I was working at Disney, like I think everybody has at some point in their life. I was a tour guide.
Dan wants to do that.
I love
later
Disney.
in life.
I have no shame in telling anyone I love Disney. Love it.
So as a tour guide there, moved from Lakeland to Orlando to keep working as a tour guide after high school. Started in commercial real estate. So I'm actually a commercial real estate broker. Did that for 25 years.
Oh, very nice.
And always did art on the side. And then started this franchise here in Orlando called Phoenix Salon Suites. So I have 8 salons that I do in addition to having the art store.
Very nice.
Okay, now are you a hairstylist?
No, you do not want me touching your hair.
No? So this was just a business you invested in? And
yeah, our friends started the concept in Colorado, and then when they brought it to Florida, we looked at it and thought it was a great idea for us. So we thought we'd just have one store. So we started in Lake Mary, and then somehow we ended up with 8.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's a great success story, though.
Yeah, so that's my day job. So I still run all those, and then I do the art on the side, and have been wanting to open Artisan Loft for several years, and I opened it last March 2nd, and then we were shut down for COVID on March 13th.
Oh,
my goodness.
So that's how it happened.
Before we ask you how you pivoted and survived COVID, can you tell our listeners and viewers what is Artisan Loft?
Sure. So Artisan Loft was created because of something I thought was missing out in the community. I didn't think that there was enough art studios that you could go to if you didn't think you could paint what they were asking you to paint.
Yes.
A lot of people, so for me, I'm not a person that can go and I don't think I am good at it, that I can paint like someone says, we're going to paint a horse today. And we go and paint a horse, and then it looks like a
Mine
llama.
would look like a dog.
And then I'd never hang it up. And then I feel bad about how I what I did, and I wouldn't go up in my house.
Yeah, because it's a great, fun experience, but are you actually going to use the art?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what I wanted to do was actually create a place where people could come, have fun, have community.
Sure.
And just make art and have something that they leave with that they're really inspired by, that will make them want to come back. So then we have different types of art classes that you can come in.
Yeah, that is a really cool concept.
Oh, thanks.
So when did the idea come to you? Has it been around in your head for a while? Has it changed, like what it would look like a few times? When can you pinpoint a time?
I can. It was the day my husband told me I had too much stuff in the house and I needed to.
Well, I'm going to rent a space.
Yeah. Make a business out of it.
Right. And that's part of it's a good and a bad thing is that I have trouble not making a business into everything. So any type of side thing I've done, I've made it into a business, and I didn't mean to.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like that left brain, right brain thing where I have the business sense, but then I have the artistic side. And I'm like, oh, I should bring this to everybody and everybody should want to do this and that kind of thing.
Wow.
It was probably when I was pregnant with my son, who's now 20, and I was on maternity leave from my real estate company that I was working for. I started just tinkering, making jewelry and cuffs and stuff like that. And then I was like, oh, I'll make a business. So then I started a business and started selling those cuffs on the side, even when I went back to work.
Okay.
So I really couldn't stop.
You've always had a creative side and kind of you needed that creative outlet.
Yeah, for sure.
What it's sounding like. You just said, okay, I'm just going to make other people buy my great merchandise.
Well, they were buying it too. That's a sign.
Were.
That's a sign that you're onto something, that you're making something cool.
Right.
I wanted to touch back for just a minute. You said you didn't know of a place where there were sort of different types of, you mentioned for people that can't necessarily do what they want you to do, but you said something about different types of painting, and it made me think, are there like different styles that you do here? Is it all abstract? Is it all, or can you tell us a little bit about the different styles? Because looking around in here, for those of you that are watching the YouTube video, there's all kinds of different styles of art. It's so cool, but they are all different styles in here. Were all these done in this type of class type thing?
Yes. So everything that you see, except for there's one piece that I purchased, because the other part of what Artisan Loft is, besides having the classes, is the space that we're sitting in right now is the co-op space. So any artist can put their paintings in here, their jewelry, any type of pottery, anything like that. And then we would sell it for them on a commission. So it's an art gallery co-op space. And there's really not a lot of co-op spaces. You can go to places like Trader May's and they have their booths with the stuff in there. But
for furniture, yeah.
Exactly. But so we didn't really have a place where artists, I think, in Orlando are showcased enough in a more casual than going to an art festival, which has been non-existent during COVID.
I know. Yeah,
so
it's been
there's
impossible.
For me, I just thought there needed to be a place where people can go to a class, in our other room, and then they're like, oh, I'm stuck. I don't know what I want to do. And they have this whole space that they can look at something and something triggers for them in that piece of art.
Oh, yes.
They go, oh, I never thought of doing that. And then they go and put that into whatever it looks like for them on their painting.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. So you're not forced to kind of do the plan of the day where maybe you don't like the sunset or the margarita glass
we've done,
or whatever.
Like painting with a twist or, the wine and paints. And
so you can do what inspires you based on what you see. I love that.
Right. And those are great classes. And I'm not dissing those at all. I'm
neither
just
am I.
saying
We have so much fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say we painted something one night. I was like, not my style, but it was so fun to do. It didn't matter.
Yes. And that's the thing I like about the community side of it. I do like those classes that get everybody together and you can do the girlfriends and so. But to answer your question, so we have, so I'm actually a metalsmith. So I don't consider myself an artist.
Tell us what a metalsmith is.
Okay. So in the traditional sense, a metalsmith usually makes jewelry. So they'll cut pieces of metal and shape them into like pendants and earrings and bracelets and so forth. So that's kind of how I started with the cuffs that I was making. And then I just had this epiphany because my husband and I and our family is very water oriented. So we're fishing all the time. And I'm like, I wonder if I could make my husband a tarpon out of a sheet of brass. So I did, and then I taught myself how to patina using ammonia fumes instead of any So
the patina is like when it looks like a greenish color.
It's
probably.
rust. So the metal is actually rusted. So I just
neat.
expedite that process by using salt water.
And that's what's so, again, those of you watching YouTube video, that's the fish that you made right there.
That's a tarpon.
Is the
Fishy?
patina, because fishy? I know patina and like leather. I know what it means when it comes to like leather.
Right.
Is the bluish color there, is that the patina part?
Yes. So that started out as a sheet of shiny brass. And so what I did was I hand cut it with a jeweler's saw. It's a very lengthy process. It takes me about a day, about 8 hours or so to cut it out.
Wow.
And that's about 2.5 feet in length. And then I hammer it to give it shape. So that's why the fins look like they're in motion. So I hammer it. And then you can patina metal, either brass or copper, using ammonia or vinegar fumes. So either one, and they'll turn out entirely different. So when I've used vinegar fumes, it tends to turn it more orangey and browns. But because it's a fish and I love teal and everything. So
Color of the ocean.
I know.
Yeah.
So I always use ammonia fumes. And ammonia never touches the piece of brass. So I just set it in basically a Rubbermaid container. I spray it with salt water.
Does that by being in proximity to it.
Yes. So it takes about, and that's the most exciting part for me because I can't control it. So it's just going to
turn the color that it does.
So
but that turned out gorgeous.
Oh, thank you. So I've sold a couple of those at art shows. So that's the last one that I have. So I brought it in to show you guys today.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
We'll put it on our website as well.
Very talented.
Yeah, no doubt.
I mean, I like to think I'm, artsy, but I'm not artsy like that.
And how did you learn how to do that?
I just taught myself. So because I
YouTube?
drew, they couldn't teach me how to draw whatever I wanted. So people are like, can you do a seahorse? I'm like, okay, I can do a seahorse. So I draw out a seahorse. And then I'd use a projector to make it the right size because I wasn't quite sure.
Oh, I love it. It's brilliant.
Yeah. And then I cut it. Then once I have it the size I want, I draw it onto cardboard. So people think I'm crazy because I'm like, are you going to throw that box away? So
it's your template.
Why do you want my
Perfect
box?
size. I need that.
So then I cut. So I just had the templates because I used to in the beginning is redraw that seahorse or the mermaid or the tarpon over and over and over. And I'm like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
So
just save it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have the templates now and I do that. And then I joke because most of my art ends up in people's bathrooms. They're like, oh my gosh, it looks so good in my bathroom. It's sea themed and ocean themed.
It's so funny because I have a mermaid picture in
the bathroom.
The guest bathroom.
Yes, you do.
I don't know
love
why.
my art in your bathroom.
That's what I'm saying. There is something about it. And you probably sell it to a lot of people that own little cottages or something
or
near
condos on the beach.
The beach, you always see that type of artwork in there. So it's perfect for that.
One of the guys that bought my tarpon, he had a place in New Smyrna and it's in there. And then he had me come back to actually do an entire bar for him that I patinaed, which were the sheets of copper were 4x8.
Neat.
So I patinaed it in my driveway and I had to make the patina bath out of tarps. And so this is why I got kicked out of my house. And my husband's the HOA president. So everybody's driving by our house going, why do they have these giant tarps and PVC in their yard? I'm like, it's only for a couple of days.
That's going to be so fulfilling though, because it's your passion, I guess probably started as a hobby for you. And when people start paying you for your art, and like I said before, you're onto something, especially a piece that big.
Right. Yeah, for sure. And that's what I just learned this. I don't know why I didn't know this, but Van Gogh, he never sold a piece of art while he's alive. Oh. And I'm thinking the poor guy never knew what if. So that's the thing is to be an artist and someone actually buy your piece of art while you're living is pretty magnificent.
You're like, okay, I can do this.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I never thought of it that way. But it becomes so valuable after somebody.
For some reason.
What is it?
I guess because you can get no more of them or people really start paying attention to. I don't know. Yeah. It's an interesting dilemma because what good does it do you if you're gone?
Well, I love that because that speaks well. It shows, that you are very talented and that this is something that's speaking to people because that art does need to speak to you.
Of course.
We've gone to art shows and we're walking around and then we see a piece and we're like, yeah, I need that right now.
It's always individual too, because sometimes we agree, but other times it's like, this is so great. And it's like, we're on the same page a lot, but you know what I mean? It has to appealed to you? Like there's paintings in this room that I love that I would have in my house, and there's others that aren't my style. Just
Right.
kind of depends on what you like.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we definitely appreciate all art.
I do.
I think because I just
Undoubtedly.
love when people are expressing their creativity.
Yes,
You
me
know, and
too.
be able to watch the process. I mean, I want to come be creative here.
We're going to do
I would
that.
love to have you here.
We are so going to do that.
But let's go back to the COVID challenges.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Because what we have seen since COVID is we've seen a lot of businesses born out of it.
Right.
So tell us, like, when did you start? Because you were trying to open last year, correct?
Right. That's right.
And then walk us through kind of the obstacles, the successes, the challenges. Kind of give us a little walkthrough of that.
Yeah, because I think, didn't you just say that you started like the week before?
March 2nd.
Yeah, that's, oh boy.
My grand opening was supposed to be April 1st, which I thought was also bad because it's new. It's April Fool's Day. And I'm like, April Fools, like you don't get to open.
Not really open, right?
You guys thought, no.
So Artisan Loft was like what people call like a side hustle. So I knew what I wanted it to be and what I wanted it to look like, but I still had this full-time job running the 8 salons.
Right.
So I'm like, I'm just, diving in, full steam ahead. I'm going for it. I'm like, okay, grand opening, we're going to do this. And there's all the chatter in the background about we're going to get shut down. I'm like, no, that's not going to happen. It's still, everybody remembers when we thought it was so surreal and remember
Yeah,
those
of
days.
course.
We're all going,
Yeah.
myself included, I'm storming around the house going, it's getting blown out. It's the media blown out of proportion.
Couple months will be fine.
Exactly. So what really triggered everything having to stop was that our salons got shut down. So I had 300 stylists that couldn't work.
Yeah.
They couldn't come in. So I couldn't keep charging them rent for because they rent suites from us. It's
Yes.
not booth rental. They actually operate their own business. So
Right.
I had 300 people that I had to stop charging rent for. But I still had to pay my landlords.
Sure.
So that whole stress was,
Oh, I can imagine.
beyond. And
Oh, yeah.
I mean, what's crazy, and I don't know the media talks about this enough, is that we're still negotiating how to pay back those 2 or 3 months worth of rent that we missed.
Yeah.
And no one talks about it. So it's still a stressor, I think, for a lot of small businesses. Where Artisan Loft is here, my friend owns the building. We never missed any rent. She's just a fabulous person. But for those large real estate companies that I used to represent in commercial real estate, there's a really big disconnect between the small business owners and those big REITs that own them, like in the shopping centers and the office buildings.
Yeah,
and
they just
everything.
want their rent check.
Yeah.
They
And
don't
everyone
really care about the struggles.
But my mistake was I was not really arrogant, but I just didn't think that it was going to be a big deal. I'm like, oh, the landlord's going to work with us. It's going to be fine.
Yeah, it's just being
I call
optimistic.
that being optimistic. Yeah.
Thank you. Oh, thanks for not saying it's arrogant.
No. Yeah, you were looking for the best. Like
Right.
this is people are going to do the right thing, and this is how it's going to work out. That's what
and
you were thinking.
I would argue that you probably, no matter what happened, which I know you're going to tell us, but it probably at least saved you some of your sanity by not panicking at day one like a lot of people did.
Right. Well, I always knew, like, what I kept saying to myself, and, my husband's contractor, he's in the industry too, and we both kept looking at each other going, we'll pay all our mom and pop vendors and we'll figure out the big guys because that's my industry. I'm going to know how to fix that.
Yeah.
Never thinking that wouldn't happen.
Sure.
But so that ironically made me more determined to really focus on what my dream was, because I was like, and all the stylists that, were in our locations were just so amazing and so just very grateful and thankful that because they're small business too.
Yeah, of course.
And I'm their landlord. So they were very grateful, and it just made me really see that you don't only get so many opportunities in your life to go after what you really want to do and what your really dream is. And so I just was like, okay, I'm going, because I could have shut everything down and been like, oh, that was a nice thought.
Yeah.
But I'm like, no, I have this dream of bringing artists to the forefront and more recognized, and doing the co-op and then having the classes. So that's kind of what catapulted us. And to answer your question, yes, we did figure it all out with the landlords.
Yeah, but I'm wondering.
But just hearing that story, it's like, oh, I think because we don't own our own business like that, we don't think, oh, there was this part and that part,
Oh, yeah.
you know, all
Yeah.
these pieces. You're just thinking, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my side hustle is the author stuff, and it's me.
Right.
So there's
Right,
no
yeah.
overhead really. There's no
Yeah.
concerns like
There's
you
no
had.
other employees or people that you care about really, because you've seen them grow their business because of what you have.
Right. Yeah.
So did you have to put this whole thing on pause? I mean, it's been over a calendar year since all this started. Did you have to put this whole thing on pause for the longest time? Were you doing virtual? I mean, I'm just curious how you made it through. Did you have to put it aside for a while, or?
Well, to some extent I did. But I would have people still reach out to me that I knew and be like, I need a mental health day. Can I please come in and just paint? I'm like, 100% you can. So they would come in and do that. And then we had, if people knew each other, because we can house about up to 20 people, safely. And as long as they knew each other, we would do it in groups. And then I did one.
Just like the restaurants do.
Yeah. So we were always very careful and safe and respectful of everybody. But people still needed that outlet, especially during COVID and when the coming back and everything. And I even did, I brought everything home and did a paint pouring class in my yard, and all my neighbors came over.
That is
that's the best.
When we were all shut down, I was like, oh, and we weren't even, it was when we were like really on lockdown. And so I was even afraid, like I would get pulled over by Orange County Sheriff's Office. Like, why are you out? Because we're like, you remember the first couple days?
a mental health day.
Everyone's hiding.
No. So I'm like, I'm just going to run in real quick and grab paints and canvas.
Why are you here?
I know.
See, this is the what do they call it? These are the essentials for me.
Yes.
Sorry, gotta have them.
Yes. I was an essential business then.
Yeah,
That is,
exactly.
I love how you put that. Yeah, this is for people's mental health. Like, seriously, they need a creative outlet. I'm
I
going to
totally
give them
agree.
a creative outlet. So I don't even need to ask. I was going to ask what brought you to Apopka, but you live in Apopka.
Yeah.
So you saw an opportunity for something like this in our community, and we appreciate it very much.
Oh, thank you.
Because we love that we're getting more artsy stuff here. We have the glass blowing place up
I
the
know.
road.
I want to go there.
We do too.
I'm terrified of burning myself. I don't know how that works, but I'm going to.
I'm sure they walk you through it, but it's bringing culture. I mean, not to say we didn't have any culture. I'm not disparaging old Apopka, but as a person that was born in the Apopka Hospital,
Yes.
it is some almost 50 years ago. It's really cool to see things like this that bring culture to the area.
Yeah.
The more we have this kind of stuff, I feel like it raises the bar for what there is to do around here.
Absolutely. And I was talking to the chamber because I'm a new member, and we were talking about Holly, who's with the chamber. And there's two different events that I want to do. One is I want to do a sidewalk chalk art festival at Field of Fame and get like
they do in Altamont at the Crane's Roost.
Yes. And so bring something like that.
yes.
Because, I mean, again, that's all outside and you get fresh air and it's fun. And then also getting some businesses in Apopka to have mural artists do murals on the side and bring back in that foliage world, because it was the U.S. capital indoor foliage.
As Angie would say, the art and foliage capital of the world.
Foliage. Like aluminum foliage.
But yes, we
Get
were
it right.
the capital. There were greenhouses everywhere. You know, my family made their business in Fox's Nurseries here.
Oh, that's right.
for years.
Yeah, that's cool.
But yeah, it would be cool to see that kind of
Is
thing.
that having
love
like
that.
indoor ferns on the side of buildings, or like just bring that history back to Apopka? Because I think a lot of people that move here now don't know that history.
And for the people that have lived here their whole life, and you have generations upon generations, that's important, you know, to kind of keep that alive
History.
and teach people about it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's speaking our language, having like murals and stuff. And we were just talking about this. We were driving through Apopka, and I'm like, you know, if we could, if the city could encourage, or, you know, just some kind of incentive even to spruce up the buildings and give it that old town charm.
That old town charm. There's a very fine line between, and so one of the things I love about old Apopka is that old town charm. But there's always room for improvement. And as Angie's saying, there's a fine line in some areas between old town charm and just old and needs to be, fixed up.
Time to update a little bit and give it just a little bit of character, you know?
And so you see those touches over the years, but you also see some things that are kind of still looking rough. So to me, this all sort of speaks the same language of evolving the city and kind of bringing the bar up.
Oh, yes. Oh, I want to talk about these, the creative workshops that you do
Yeah, I
on
do too.
Tuesdays and Thursdays, because
Yes.
I thought that is so cool. So tell us a little bit about what you do on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Okay,
here.
so Tuesdays and Thursdays, we do 2 different types of events. So there's in the mornings, you can come in from 10 to 12 and for 1 to 2 hours and just have free paint time. So you come in, you buy a canvas, which we have 3 different sizes. So you buy the canvas and then I set you up and you have paint and you have all access to all of our paint and you can sit for 1 or 2 hours and just paint, do whatever you want.
Wow.
Oh, I love it. So that's good for artists if you're already an artist or someone that wants to try it but doesn't want to buy all the stuff.
Exactly. Or they're just, maybe they're having a bad day and they're like, oh, I just need to really go paint or do
Yeah.
something.
Love that.
And so, and I'm not particular and if they want to like paint something or if they want to try and do a individual paint pour, that's fine. Or one of the classes that I teach is we paint with anything but paintbrushes. So I'll show you a picture in a little bit that I did that I didn't use any paintbrushes to do.
So you have just objects on the table and different things you can use like that?
Right. So paper towels, aluminum foil, bubble wrap, spatulas. We have anything in the kitchen aisle that you can go to in the dollar store. We probably have in the studio back there.
That's great.
I mean, you can pour paint through a colander and then swirl it around, and it just makes really cool.
Oh, I've watched those videos. Have you ever seen those videos of the guy who does like the 5-gallon bucket and he pokes a hole in it and he swings it on this string in his garage? It makes this huge mess.
It makes
It's
a geometric
amazing.
shape on the ground, like
Really?
because it's like a
because
pendulum.
it's swinging.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense.
He swings it a certain way, and I think he kind of has an idea of maybe because of the weight of the paint or something, but you'll sit there for 30 minutes and watch this thing go around. I'm not even lying. You can't stop watching it. You're like,
It's like watching
what's it going to
paint
do? It's doing
the
It's a fun way of watching it paint dry. What is for those of us that aren't savvy to that term? What is a paint pour?
So it's really super fun. So what you do is you take, you pick out usually 3 to 4 different colors of paint. It's all acrylic, and we pour it in each color of paint into a different solo cup or that type of cup. And then we add a liquid additive, usually called like a pour medium, which makes the paint thinner without losing any of the pigment of the color. So
Is it almost like putting a glaze in a paint that you would paint on your walls or
It makes
something?
it really watery because the end result of what you want it to do is move very quickly across the canvas.
Otherwise,
so
you'd paint with like a paste.
Oh, okay.
It's too thick. Like regular paint's too thick. So once you pick out your colors, you stir it up real well, and then there's a few different ways. You can either pour those individual cups onto the canvas, and then you tilt the canvas to make it move across however you want. Or what you can do is layer the paint into a separate cup, and then you basically put the canvas upside down on top of the cup, and then you flip cup it. And then you take the cup off, and all that paint
Kind of
goes
let
around.
it do whatever it's going to do.
But does it stay separate like boiling
It
water?
does.
Oh,
It does.
how cool is that?
Yeah.
Now-
you can't stir it because as soon as you stir it, then you'll just have brown paint.
Right, right.
So I'm wondering, like, okay, so if Dan and I came in, because that is something like we want to do on our wall in our dining room. But if we had something in mind, like, okay, we want it to go to blue, to gray, to gold, let's say. Could you kind of walk us through how to get the desired look that we want?
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean,
so
we don't want it like, it's got to be exactly like this, but like,
Right.
here's kind of the feel of what we want, and you could guide us through that?
right, exactly. So a lot of times what we do is we'll take a blow dryer and blow the paint across the canvas, and then whatever paint was on the basically the top layer that you put onto the canvas, that gets exposed because now it's on the bottom of your canvas and there's other paints on top. So when you hit the blow dryer, all those colors move across. And so that's how the purple and gold one, how it gets that like movement. So that's the easiest way to do it. Otherwise you can take like we have combs, like hair combs, and
It's literally.
hair
I'm just going to
picks, and
start
you
looking for
drag it.
stuff now to bring you. Hey, can we paint with this?
You know, it's
That's
again
so awesome to me.
the cardboard. I also like people bring me like empty toilet paper rolls.
Yeah, but
And they're
that's
the like heavy duty industrial ones. And the other day I got something in the mail and they wrapped it in this small little hard cardboard. And I went to my husband. I'm like, oh my gosh, look! And he's like, it's cardboard. I'm like, I know, but it's perfect.
What's the gift inside?
it's
like,
when
if you
you
turn
get,
it-
it's like when you get your kids something when they're little and they play with the box. It's like that.
I know. It's very sad. Like,
No,
it's
I
sad.
don't think
It's like
it's sad.
hoarding almost. It's bad.
Oh, it's great.
The
It's very
hoarding
creative.
of leftover paper product inserts.
Yeah.
I love it.
That's why she had to move into a space,
Oh
really.
my gosh.
Oh, is there a box full of a room full of cardboard somewhere
I
near
can
us?
see it from where I'm standing
There
right
is.
now.
I
So,
was kidding.
Do you have a Monica closet? Do you watch Friends?
oh, you know what? Don't even get me started. I'm like the worst with that. Like everything looks nice and tidy. Do not go in that closet over there.
It'll
Put a
pour
lock
out
on
you.
it. You're not
Just
allowed
like
to go
everything
in
will
there.
pile over.
That's a whole nother video. But you also do the wine and pour stuff, or the wine and paint
do.
stuff.
Wine and sip. Sometimes we actually call them like wine and drink. We're like, oh yeah, there's painting in there at some point. So
Yeah.
we shouldn't just call it
Wine.
sip and drink. But so what we do is a lot of that's for like dates can come.
Yeah.
Usually that ends up being a paint pour class, although they do find it fun to do the no paintbrush class too, because that's they can leave, with the painting. The paint pour it takes, because there's so much paint on the canvas, it takes like 2 days for that
You
to
got to
dry.
leave it here. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they come back for it. But we can pretty much incorporate the sip and paint into any one of our classes, except for when if we start doing the metal smithing, I probably like put a stop to
Yeah.
them. Like,
Yeah.
no.
No, you got to pay attention.
No power
to this.
tools with the drinking.
No.
But it sounds like it's very casual as far as the
It
rules
is.
and stuff. Oh, I love
Yeah,
it.
I mean, I want people to have fun, and I want them to get the joy out of what the intention of Artisan Loft was. And so if they come in and they're like, oh, it's stuffy, or, they feel a little like,
Yeah.
I don't want it to be like
course.
that.
Or intimidated by the painting,
Right.
because sometimes you're like, I can't do that.
Right.
So you're always ready to kind of switch it up and be like, hey, why don't you try it?
Yeah,
If
exactly.
you feel like they're uncomfortable, like,
Yeah.
I can't paint that bike. I'm looking at that bike right there. I'm like, I
don't think
I might be able to paint that bike.
That's by another artist. I don't think I could paint that bike.
I mean, I might have to use a template to trace the
For the circles,
or
yeah.
something, but okay.
For the
I might be able to do
tires,
that. Yeah. I did the little flowers on there and stuff. That's cute.
Yeah, it's really cute.
Yeah. We're bikers. So, of course, that's where I went to.
Yeah, and for those of you listening to the audio version, we're looking at a painting of a bicycle with a basket on the front with a bunch of flowers, and the flowers are actually, like fake
3D,
flowers that
yeah.
are stuck. So it's got like the 3D thing too. It's very cool.
I love that little element. I did see that you guys, I don't know if it was just a group that you had, but you were doing the painting with a purpose or painting for a purpose.
Mm-hmm. So
How are you giving back to the community? Because that sounds, I told you the story about how we started the podcast. So
Yes.
we love when we see stuff like that.
So I always encourage, we have a good friend and neighbor that she runs Dave House. And so she had asked me, when we were shut down and slow, if I would have an event here. And I'm like 100%. And so we had a lot of great people that came out that donated to Dave's House, but any type of charity that wants to come over. I've done a lot of work with New Hope for Kids. I was, which is the Center for Grieving Children in Maitland. And they, any type of charity event that would want to come here. We do it in groups. So for Dave's House, they had about 30 people here. And so we have plenty of room to spread out to the parking lot. And so we had food and drinks and
a little tent
people
out
come
there or
in
something,
and then,
yeah.
absolutely. So I'm always encouraging any charity that wants to do a fundraiser here. I'm always on board for that.
What is Dave's
I love
House?
that.
That's for the homeless?
Yes, exactly. So it was started by this gentleman who is Dave. He actually, and Ellen would probably kill me because I'll probably get this a little wrong. But anyway, it was for homeless people that need a place to stay and that are also have some, maybe they're struggling through their mental health issues.
Which is often the case when you're homeless. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, this is another visual, but the white plate over there, that with the black, that was the artist that we had who was here just to prove how much Dave's House had helped him. And when he was homeless, all he did was buy those plates from the dollar store, and he had a Sharpie. And so he made all these really cool designs, but he said from an art level, that just helped him get back to where he needed to be. And so he transitioned and Dave's house was a huge help to him, and now he's a really great, and he's successful, and he's doing art. And
That's awesome.
That's an awesome story.
It is. It sounds like a great organization, too.
Yeah. We should reach out to them.
Yep, absolutely.
Have them
the
on the show.
contact.
I already put it in the notes.
There we go. There we go. Yeah, when I saw that, I was like, oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
I love we love when people get together to, just for some cause, whatever may be, whatever's in their heart to help.
Absolutely.
We love it.
Yeah.
And especially the small nonprofits and smaller charities, the grassroots efforts that people are putting forth.
Yeah.
We like to toot their horn. That's what we say.
Because a lot of those places don't.
Because we talked about this. They're too involved in it because that's their passion. That is what their focus is on, is helping. And so they just don't have time for the, hey, we're doing this or that. So that's what other people do for them.
Yeah.
And I hope that's how we help.
I hope so too. Let's talk about your grand opening. So you've been sort of...
Ooh, it's coming.
So you're open, but
not April 1st this year.
You're still doing your official grand opening now.
The grand opening. So it's Saturday and Sunday, April 10th and 11th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. So we'll have
awesome.
We'll
Coming
have
up.
food vendors. We'll have we're putting an area in the parking lot for kids to do chalk art. Just going back to that chalk festival that I want to do.
Yes.
And then we'll have some people can sign up and actually do classes that week, or they can do a couple of classes that we'll have here during the grand opening. So there's all sorts of fun stuff.
Very nice. That'll be great.
Yeah, it's fun.
Grand opening, April 10th and 11th. You guys have to be super excited that day is actually coming.
I know, it's still surreal. And there's, I think I have everything almost planned, and then something will come up and make me realize I don't have everything planned. So
it'll go great though. I mean, we'll help get the word out there for you. And I mean, just all your friends and those in the I've already seen people making comments about your place. So
I know, it's so sweet.
So that's kind of a benefit. I mean, I guess you have to look at the blessing of everything, but if there's a benefit to having to delay it this long, now you've got sort of a following, and it will probably be much more of a grand opening anyway, because
that's so true.
You've got your following, you've got people that have already been here and are excited about it, that know more what it is than it would have been before.
Right, exactly.
And I wonder if that year that COVID kind of put a damper on things, did it enable you to kind of tweak your place the way you really wanted it?
Yeah, for sure. So because being so busy, running the salons and everything, it's very hard for me to look at how other people do things, and so sometimes you just have to get out of your own headspace and see how someone else that you admire does something. And so I took all these bits and pieces, from things that I would see that I would never, ever have had the luxury to even go out and look for, like on Pinterest, or if it was YouTube, or if it was out on the web or something. I'd never, ever see that because I don't have the time to do that.
Right. And you're rushing to get it going.
Exactly. And so it's I think a lot of people say this about the COVID period, is that when we were shut down, is like they gained so many things. A lot of things were taken away.
Yeah.
But they gained things like the time with their family, time to do things. So I really saw that as a blessing, not in the moment because it was tough, but looking back, I'm like, wow, I would have never had the time to tweak all those things. And so just getting what my vision was out, it was really awesome that I had the time to do that.
That's great.
That's so well put. And I think I feel very fortunate that it didn't really affect me directly per se as far as my job, but I think something we all have in common is that it made us all slow down, something I'm not very good at doing in general.
Right, me neither. Yeah.
And when you're doing something like opening a business, maybe it gives you time with your family, but it also gives you time to think about it in ways that you wouldn't have, or maybe details you wouldn't have had time to.
Yeah.
So that's a reoccurring thing I'm sure we're going to hear a lot from people as it relates to COVID, but we are very excited for your grand opening. We are definitely going to be back.
I already signed up for the grand opening.
Oh, well, there you go.
On the little invite.
That's right.
I guess we're in for that too, but I want to come back and do one of the sip and paint things.
Oh, it's fun. You should.
Yes, I will definitely do it.
So, Betsy, thank you so much. If somebody wants to book a private event or check out when you are actually having workshops or classes, where can they find you?
You can actually schedule everything directly on our website, which is theartisanloft.com. And you can also call us as well. It all comes to me. So it's 407-505-9360 is our phone number. And you can text to that as well. So I try and make it as easy as possible. I know people are busy, so they're like, I just need to paint.
Texting is great. It's how I communicate. When somebody says call me, sometimes I'm like, oh, okay.
How do you do that?
I think I remember how to dial a number.
People still do it. Come on now.
I love texting though, because it's just like you can do all your other stuff while you're doing it. I don't know.
There's still that personal thing. I think the new generation has a trouble on the phone. I like to talk on the phone too. But we'll also put your link, your phone number and everything in the show.
That's right.
On YouTube and on the podcast. And as Angie said, thank you so much for sitting with us.
It's
been great meeting you.
It was a pleasure.
Definitely be back. All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break, and Angie and I will be right back, so hang tight. Hey guys, welcome back. And just like that, we're back in the studio.
Ding.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
Dink. Well, I have to see if I can find the bewitched noise.
That's I Dream of Jeannie.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Hold on. What did that one?
She wiggled her nose.
What did that one sound like, though?
Oh, I don't know.
Because I remember ding, 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 ding was Samantha's nose.
Yeah, that was her nose going back and forth.
Was it just like a spring noise? Like doing, 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 doing?
Yeah, it might have been. Now we're going to have to go look this up, you see.
See,
the things that we get into.
You know, the younger listeners and watchers are like, our viewers are like, what are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
Yeah. Wasn't that terrible movie, Dream of Jeannie? Did they make a movie or did that Bewitched? Or did they do both?
Bewitched they did with Nicole Kidman. Yes, It wasn't that bad.
No,
it was kind of like the movie, or kind of like the show. It was cool.
Anyways, we are back in the studio, and we hope you enjoyed that interview with Betsy from the Artisan Loft. That was a really fun time for us, and I feel like we've made a new friend. I can't wait to go back there. Oh, my gosh.
So I'm super excited because, guys, you need to make sure to head over there April 10th and 11th. That's our grand opening weekend.
Yes.
Go show your support for something here local in Apopka and something different, right? We love that we have something different like that in this area, something creative and just something nice to go do.
And I don't know, this is the fun of what we do with this show is that we're finding stuff like that if you told me there was a place that you could go as an artist and use all their supplies, or someone that wants to be an aspiring artist or whatever it is, I would have said not in Apopka. If you told me that there's a place where you can do sort of the paint and sip thing with wine on like a date night, I would have said not in Apopka. And I'm not disparaging Apopka. I love Apopka. That's my city. I just didn't know we had anything like that.
Yeah.
So I love this kind of.
That's what I said. We keep discovering things right in our own backyard.
Yeah.
And who knew? Right?
I know, right?
Apparently some people did, but we didn't. But yeah, their grand opening is April 10th and 11th, and it's from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. They're going to have some art demonstrations out there, the ribbon cutting.
Yes.
They'll have art exhibits. You can sign up for classes. They're going to have some specials going. So, and I think they're having some food trucks. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, I did. I read
Jimmy Hula's?
Jimmy Hula's will be out there too.
Yeah,
so sorry for and thank you for having all the information always. But a lot of this stuff is just coming in. So we're just finding out about some of the information. And as you may have noticed also on sort of a side technical note, during the recording of the video with Betsy, we are in the middle of a transition to a new podcast studio, a bigger podcast studio. We've told you about this in some of the previous episodes. We're actually starting to build it out now. It's going to be really cool with like sofa chairs and like a living room environment, and it'll be much cooler for the videos too. But as we're starting to implement cameras everywhere, we're learning about lighting and batteries and SD card sizes specifically because in the middle of very end of the interview with Betsy, one of the SD cards ran out on the cameras, so we switched to my phone. We made it work, but we'll get more polished as we go with that.
Yeah. Well, Like we told her, you're a guinea pig for this
Yeah.
because first time we're trying, videoing while we're out
Somewhere
at location.
else.
It was really cool to be on location in the art studio.
I thought so,
to have
too.
that as like kind of the backdrop.
I
for
thought
that,
so too. And by the time you're watching or listening to this, you will have seen some of the art that's in there that we showed on the YouTube video. If you're listening on your favorite podcast player, or I don't know why I said your favorite, but if you're listening on a podcast listener or a player or on our website, you can always go back to our website or to our YouTube channel and watch the video version of this too. And what is our YouTube channel's link, Angie?
So we have a bit.ly link for it so that we don't have that huge long
URL.
thing that we sent you to. So it's just bit.ly. Is that a forward or a backslash?
/ So it's always a /
Okay, so / YouTube - Fine and Danjee. And that's where you can find us. And of course, you can always find the link on the website as
That's
well.
right. That's right. Until you have 1,000 subscribers, you can't have your own customized URL, your own web link.
Speaking of.
Yes, I was going to say, so we need you to help us with that.
Yeah, so our goal is to really start posting more content on our YouTube channel. We really want you guys to be able to experience those local things that we talk about,
Yes.
or all those restaurants we rave about, or nonprofits that we're meeting with. So we are going to really be putting a lot more videos up.
Indeed.
And we want to reach more people. So if you're a fan of the show, please head on over to the YouTube channel and subscribe so you can keep updated on what's there and help us reach our goal of 1,000 subscribers.
She doesn't let me edit those out anymore.
No, because it's funny. And we all make mistakes.
That's
Thank you
true. Very
much.
true. But yeah, that's our goal. We want to reach our goal. And we're going to be I've been doing a little bit of research. I haven't told you about this yet. We'll be doing some little bite-sized YouTube videos too. That's really how people watch YouTube. So we are going to have the full shows on here. Most, if not every one of the interviews we do, the full video version will be on the YouTube channel as well. But we will also have little bite-sized things. So for instance, if we do a snippet that says things to do, we may have one little snippet from an interview that has just an interesting tidbit with a link to the rest of the interview or a link to the website. So you can just kind of breeze through if you want to see a little 2 or 3 minute clip.
I'm learning new stuff that we're doing.
Yeah.
Look at this. Awesome.
And then we're going to do, like Angie mentioned, that while you're in Florida, we're going to have a series of videos that can range from 2 or 3 minutes to longer with footage and information about some of the things around here. We just went to Lake Apopka and did a bike trail thing. That kind of got us really thinking about, we do a lot of the kayaking, a lot of the biking, a lot of the local businesses. And it would be kind of cool to give you guys a sort of, while you're in Florida, check this out, whether it means you live in Florida or you're on vacation.
Yeah.
But that's the videos that we're going to have coming up as well.
Yeah.
Informative, short, and, hopefully something you'll be able to use.
And I love that because for people that are traveling to Florida, if they stumble across our YouTube channel, they can discover some of the things here locally. So we are helping to support those local businesses.
I love it.
So things that are in, that you would never know was there because they don't do huge advertisements or anything like that. It's all word of mouth.
Yep.
Most tourists aren't going to know about that.
That's true.
Unless they know somebody in the area. So that's what I'm excited about.
It's a great idea. And, it may give you an idea for a charity organization in Florida that you didn't know about that you want to donate money to. Do you say across?
Sometimes, probably.
I ask that because for most of my life, I said cliffed. Like, don't drive off the cliff. And one day somebody said...
Yeah, I think I do add the T instead of just... Yeah.
It seems like it should go, doesn't it?
It really does. We should just put the T at the end of those things.
It's just like your last win. I'm getting my second win.
Yeah.
I always thought it was my second win, but I think it's my second wind.
It is. It's wind.
And I've been saying win.
Oh, that
Here we
is
go.
so funny.
Back to the deer caught in headlights.
Yeah. And guys, if you like the show, please make sure to give us a rating. If you have time, we'd love for you to put a review on there. That helps us gain more traction and visibility to others and moves us kind of up in the podcast list, as you may say.
The algorithm. We're trying to get caught in that algorithm.
Yeah, we want to get caught in it.
Same for YouTube. We're seeing continued growth. Again, we thank you all so much for that. But, now we're really trying to focus heavily on expanding.
Yeah.
And it really helps us if you subscribe. If you're interested, if you like it. If not, we totally understand. Yeah. Same thing with the YouTube. If you go to our YouTube channel, it really, really helps us if you subscribe, if you enjoy those videos as well.
Yes. And we appreciate it.
Yeah.
And if you have an idea for the show, or if you have someone that would be a great guest, or just want to say a little hello, give us a ring. Leave us a voicemail at 407-490-3899. I almost have it memorized.
I was going to say, I almost have it memorized too. Only 102 episodes later.
Yeah. Or you can always email us at fineanddanjee.com or reach out to us on any of our social media under Fine and Danjee.
That's right.
That's where you can find us.
That's right. Our email address is feedback@fineanddanjee.com. Yep. And I think that's it.
That's a wrap, guys.
That is a wrap.
Hopefully, by the time you hear this, we will be catching you at the grand opening of the Artisan Loft in Apopka.
Oh.
Check it out.
The Apopka Art and Foliage Festival is coming as well.
Yes, that is. That's coming April 26th and 27th, I believe. And Daniel Fox will be there with his books.
I will be selling my novels. If you're not aware, I write fiction thrillers. I will be there selling both In the Dark and Lies That Bind, signed copies. Come up and say hi.
And he will be sitting in the fine art section is where they put you. So that's pretty cool.
I am so thankful for that. They picked me for the fine art section, which isn't necessarily super common. And so I'm glad. I'm super happy. It's a popular traffic spot. I hope I get a lot of people.
And Angie may or may not be walking around with a GoPro type device with a microphone on it.
She will.
Saying.
She totally will. She'll be doing some Fine and Danjee interviews out there. That'll be great.
It'll be great. And guys, we want to remind you to take a moment each and every day and just think of what you can do to make your community a better place to live. What kind of thing can you do for somebody else? How can you help, no matter how little or how big it may be? It doesn't matter, right? It just matters that you're helping. So thank you so much. We know that all of our listeners are really involved in their community. So
it sure seems it.
Yeah, we have a very good group of people.
Oh, our listeners are amazing. I love it. Yeah, and that's why we started doing this. Mm-hmm. We've seen some continued benefits of it now, and it's just so great. Plus, we've made so many cool friends. That's a really good. It really is. Good part. And don't forget, at the end of each and every day, it's all fine and dandy.
Dan, did you learn how to say the word apothecary yet?
Apopka theory. Did you?
Is that Apopka theory?
Apopka theory.
It's better than apocalypse.
Apocalypse. That's the other
one. I told him he needs to write a book called that. The apocalypse. Okay. We get all our fun.